Hello and welcome back to another episode of Wrestling Wednesdays. Now, I am incredibly excited to be joined this week for the first time ever on Wrestling Wednesdays by a whole tag team. I mean, these guys are intimidating, they're scary, but for some reason they're also friendly, which is kind of going to freak me out over the next half hour or so. The guests this week, as I say, they're the two-time Tidal Tag Team Champions. They the first ever two-time Fight Factory Wrestling Tag Team Champions, current champions as well, and BWR's tag team champions. It is the Wrecking Ball and it is the Big Hoss. It is Reece and Rogan. Thank you very much, guys, for joining me this week.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for the opportunity to come on and chat to all the fans out there watching.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
It's a true pleasure, honestly. I think, as I've messaged you a couple of times, I've always been a big fan of tag team wrestling, but it's something that just seems to be very difficult to kind of be booked on British shows over the last decade. It's not seemed as important, and you guys seem to be really making that as a big comeback. So yeah, just a genuine pleasure to get the chance to delve into those brains of yours.
I think tag team wrestling at the moment, let's be honest, it's not as big maybe over here as other countries. It's very hard to get a tag team and dedicate your careers to a tag team because everyone has their own individual goals. It's very rare to find two guys who come together and say, hey, let's give this a shot, because you are taking a risk. If I have individual goals or Reece has individual goals, we've kind of put them aside to come together as a unit and say, hey, what can we do as two working as one? And I'm sure Reece has his own goals. I'm sure I probably have my own goals, but at the moment, I think we're fair to say we're both confident in saying our goal is to be a tag team.
Yeah.
And honestly, I can't imagine it any other way. Doing singles matches, I'm probably more nervous nowadays doing singles matches. Because when I'm tired, who am I going to tag out? So
you can't tag in, stomp, tag out, can you?
That's it. That's the structure there.
Like you said, there is a niche in the market for tag team wrestling. You don't get two guys working as one. You don't get tag teams doing look like nowadays. It's like, say, it's a niche in the market, and we're trying to take full advantage of that.
And these ginger beards and these glasses, it's all just by chance. This was not planned. Us both having vision issues and wearing glasses was not.
These are only 2 months old.
Yeah. Just by chance, we both got bad eyesight. Both got really bad, weird hairs and their beards. It's just by chance, mate. Yeah. Honestly, we just kind of embraced it and we've kind of run with it.
Yeah.
I just thought you were doing muscle version of Ed Sheeran cosplay, but you know that's kind of my
we can end this now, mate.
Yeah.
No, it's great.
Yeah,
it's great. Right. Honestly, it really is. And I think obviously when you look at people's careers, some of the most successful tag teams have had amazing careers through the 80s, the 90s, and the noughties. But as I say, it does seem to be very much a case of over the last decade where it's sort of singles guys put together in a team and doing well or not doing well or whatever, rather than someone coming in as an actual team and given that opportunity to grow. So yeah, what you're doing on the British scene at the moment, I think is incredible. So hence a genuine pleasure at getting the opportunity to chat tonight.
I really do appreciate that, man. And your messages and your posts don't go unnoticed. People like yourself who are putting stuff like favorite tag team, it doesn't go unnoticed. And despite us playing these very nasty, villainous big brutes, it doesn't go unnoticed. We do appreciate the support, and we do notice everyone supporting us. Hopefully we can just spread the Yorkshire scene, because obviously the wrestling is more bigger up down London way. We're just trying to spread tag team wrestling, and hopefully we'll be out there soon, or just hopefully opportunities continue to come knocking. We're very fortunate at the moment and just trying to grab everything we can. Just a momentum wave. We're just riding the momentum wave.
Yeah, like Rogan said, it's just like, it's crazy when people like yourselves like do put us over. Like we're just two fat lads from Hull. Like that's all it is, and it's crazy when people actually say, man, like, you're doing well, keep going, and yeah, putting us over on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. It's just living this crazy dream, man.
Yeah, well, I think that's the hope, isn't it? It's sharing how good you are, to hope that obviously you continue doing what you're doing up this way, but so that more promoters around the UK or in Europe or America, wherever it might be, kind of take notice and sort of watch your matches online and then realize these guys are really good. They've got a great reputation backstage. They're also incredibly talented when it comes to creating merchandise, and they're making a real effort to actually make the name as a tag team. It's worth having them on the show and doing something different. And hopefully that's what interviews like this will hopefully lead to try and maybe knock on a few more doors and open up some eyes extra on you. So yeah, I mean, well, we have to. I mean, obviously I listened to the Wrestling with Jonas podcast interview that you did and the Kurt Johansson one. So I'll sort of, there's a couple of things I want to touch on that you've spoken about in there, but I'm going to try and avoid doing too much of that. And obviously people should go and listen to those because it's great hearing, your backgrounds and some of the matches with ICW, etc. But I wanted to start off with, how did it feel main event in the recent Tournament of Power in Yarborough and Lincoln, tag team match, obviously Fight Factory Wrestling, getting to be last on for the night and causing mayhem all over a leisure centre against the bad boys. What was that like being on last?
So going into the match, we had no idea who was going to be the main event. So firstly, we'd like to say to Becca and Dutch, thank you for giving us the opportunity to main event such a big show. The venue's a big venue, it's a beautiful venue, and Dalton and JSC are very new as a team. So we had the advantage of a team, but we also didn't know what moves they had as a team. So they could have surprised us. They could have had an upset win. But going into that match, we came in with a very Bruiser Brody mindset. We wanted to cause havoc. We purposely attacked them on their entrance because we wanted to instantly set the tone for that match. That match was structured with a mindset that this is nothing else like on the rest of the card. The rest of this matches on this card have started up with a lockup, have started up with wrestling. We're not coming to wrestle, we're coming to trash the venue, and you're going to remember this match at the end of the night because your chair's probably broken, your bottle of water's probably been kicked, he's probably had a go at you, and JRC and Dalton are probably covered in cuts and bruises. So yeah, we appreciate the opportunity, and every time Fight Factory give us the opportunity, especially in a main event, we just want people to remember at the end of the day, hey, remember that Reece and Rogan match? We want to make sure you don't forget it. That's the goal. Be different to everything else on the card. Every single time.
Also, going back to Becca and Dutch, they were like the first promoters who actually took a chance on Reece and Rogan. There was like our first outside booking from our home promotion. So we're just really thankful from Becca and Dutch for having faith in us and getting their guys through matches and things like that, working with their guys.
Yeah, like going back to starting with Fight Factory. When we started with Fight Factory, it was very new. We was very green as And Becca's been very open and very kind about us getting further opportunities and very supportive of us continue to branch out. There's never been a moment where she stopped us or said, "Hey, we've got this coming up." Or she's been we've been very fortunate to have Fight Factory in our corner, and hopefully it continues for many years.
Yeah. I mean, you've had some great matches already over the last few years when you've been with them. I mean, any of the guys you've worked with sort of stand out the most? Obviously, Wrestling John, as you were talking about, KD being really talented. Who's your sort of been a favourite opponent that you've been working with during your time at Fight Factory?
Ben Butcher is definitely one to watch. Reeces,
definitely. I like Ben. Nice guy, very talented guy. He's one to watch out for in the future, like Rogan said.
Yeah. Ben Butcher, KD, obviously. Me and KD had some matches over the summer camps a few years ago, which are really big memories for me because those camp show matches, it is a different style. You are working for an audience that isn't necessarily a wrestling audience. And the fact you can play the whole big versus small storyline of the underdog coming out on top, it was always cool to be in there with KD. So yeah, I'd say keep your eye on Ben Butcher, KD, Hardman Dan, Jack Maxwell. Jack Maxwell is different. Going back to different on the card, Jack Maxwell is a guy who, again, you'll look at him on a card and you won't see anything like him.
Totally agree.
Yeah, he's very lethargic and stylish, isn't he, with it? It's almost that kind of menacing old schoolness where he really why, attacks an opponent in a different way, as opposed to some might be really quick or really physical. He'll pick a body part, won't he, and really work on it, which is obviously a great story to watch when you're sat in the crowd. Obviously, it's great to boo him as well, especially when he uses his tie as a weapon. Darn him.
I've never seen that.
No idea what about.
No, of course not. No, never seen it. Obviously, you've got a great connection with the fans. I think it's when I've seen your matches online as well in Lincoln. Fans really react to you, whether that's when you've been sort of trying to be the good guys in like Wrestle Carnival, for example, but obviously the bad guys in Fight Factory. You always know how to rile a crowd up. What is it that you sort of, do you have any plans in mind, or do you just come out thinking, right, we're going to wait and see how they react, and then we'll grow on it and build on it?
Yeah, see, things I just kind of like work on the fly. Like my breaking kayfabe, my pet peeve is the crowd cannot be quiet. They have to be invested in something that Reece and Rogan are doing, or something in Reece and Rogan match. Like, the my pet peeve is the crowd being quiet. So you just got to work on the fly and work whatever's working with the crowd, and just like turn the volume up by 10, turn it up by 100.
Yeah, and this is I think everyone can relate to a bully. At some point in their life, you've been bullied or you've experienced bullying at some point. Reece and Rogan, remember that high school bully at your school who, for whatever reason, was just a bully? So imagine him with a twin. There's two of them now. What's worse than that? And I also remember going to a wrestling event when I was little, as a kid, and I can't for the life of me remember who it was, but he just stared at me. He didn't say a word. He just stared at me. And that stayed with me for days. I went to school the next day. I was like, this wrestler just stared at me. I couldn't remember the moves. Right now, I can't even remember his name. But I remember he stared at me and freaked me out. And if you go back to any of our Fight Factory matches where you've been there, there'll probably be a moment where on our entrance, we will purposely pick the littlest guy in the crowd and stare at this poor kid until he's on the verge of tears. And it works every time. I'm not trying to break secrets here, but yeah, Reece and Rogan are just that high school bully who, for whatever reason, has a big brother, and it's 10 times worse. Because everyone can relate to it. I can't relate to a wrestling magician or a clown or an acrobat, for example, but I can relate to bullying. I can relate to being bullied myself. I can relate to seeing bullying. And I think that's why Reece and Rogan resonates with people, because no one wants to see a bully.
No.
So you're gonna boo Reece and Rogan, or you're gonna, on the flip side, as a good guy, you're gonna see two guys working as one with cool tag team moves and these big brutes who are coming to save the day.
Who can stand up for the guys who are being bullied?
Yeah.
Exactly. It's great. It's the perfect. Love wrestling. For anyone who's not seen your other interviews, obviously, I just want to delve into a bit about your sort of background. You both were trained by Nathan Cruz. I'm just curious what that was like, and then if you could talk to us a little bit about how you realised you wanted to start working as a team together, basically.
Nathan, I'm sorry to cut you off here, Reece. I go on the tangents. If I go on a tangent, just cut me off.
I'll just let him do it.
Then tag in.
When Nathan calls himself the professional, it's not a gimmick. He lives and breathes professional wrestling. So everything is serious, everything is intense. And there is moments where it's like, oh, wow, this is professional wrestling. This isn't fun and games. This is a serious form of entertainment. So even from the early days, we came up with, we can have fun out there, but at the end of the day, everything we do is serious and we want it to make sense. Nathan is a huge fan of tag team wrestling, and I credit our mindset for tag team wrestling probably from Nathan, because he's installed in us everything from you guys taking control to making your opponents look good is part of the match. It's part of the show. And over to you, Reece. Fuck, I'm going to talk to you. I don't
Yeah, like Rogan said, Nathan is professional. Every time we step in the ring, don't matter if it's a Fight Factory, Wrestle Carnival, or BWR, anywhere at all, we are kind of representing Nathan. We don't want to let Nathan down. Like Rogan said, Nathan is professional, and you handle yourself in a professional way, and that's all we try and do.
Yeah, every event we go to, even outside of the ring, that professionalism is something that stayed with us from day one. And I would like to think everyone from Becca to the light guy to the person holding the camera can say, hey, Reece and Rogan came to me, they shook my hand and they made me feel welcome. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure they certainly can. As I say, it's always been my insight so far is how great you are, and you know how helpful you are as well backstage. Not just obviously focusing on your match, etc. You're helping others, and you're obviously helping educate people as well, and learning about their matches. And you're very obviously, like you mentioned earlier, you want to try and make everything different. So you're obviously very engaged in the whole show. You're not just sort of sitting there and switching off. You're very, you know, you're constantly on it, which I think really pays off and comes across. Whereabouts did the origin begin then for you two? Obviously, when did you first decide, right, this is tag teams for me? We got on well, let's get into tag teams rather than the singles career.
I've got this one, yeah.
Yeah.
So when we trained at NGW, the promoter said to us, like, we can't put you on a show as a singles guys because you look too much alike. No one will define which is which. So basically, he basically said to us, you either tag or you don't go on the show. So we obviously wasn't forced to tag, but we was booked as a tag team, and it evolved from there. Like we took tag team wrestling as ours. Like at that time, we was the only guys on the card who looked alike, who wear the same kind of gear. Like we wear the tag team.
And just to put Reece over a sec here, this is going to get a bit strawberry here, but Reece was wrestling at the time, and Reece was doing shows at the time, and I was just coming through the ranks. And Reece was approached with the idea of a tag team, and he could have easily said no. Reece could have easily said, I'm happy being a singles, I'm happy doing my own thing. But he didn't, he embraced it, and yeah, I'm forever in debt to Reece, man. So it's not just friends, like he's like a big brother to me, and yeah, without Reece doing to Rogan, and without Rogan doing to Reece, man. So it's not a gimmick. It's become real life.
It's really cool. That's great to hear. Thank you for sharing that. So delving into obviously your career, I think was Tidal the first tag team titles you won, or
yeah,
Tidal. So obviously you've gone from becoming a tag team, training, being really good at what you do, growing your moves, and really embracing it. And then a company like Tidal obviously take you on and you end up winning the titles. What did it feel like when you got to lift the championships for the first time?
Oh man,
you can't really put it into words, can you? It's like you've kind of reached the top of the mountain. Like you proved that you're the best at what you do.
There's a good story there as well. So we didn't know we was winning the champions until maybe 15, 20 minutes before the match.
Yeah.
It was going back and forth on the idea of the tag team that was working at the time. Are them two going to break up and feud? If so, then they don't need the champions. Let's give them to us, who continue to work hard and coming through the ranks. But there was going back and forth on that for all day. We had the match. We didn't specifically have a finish. And then there was like, yeah, let's put the belts on you guys. And it could have easily been a placeholder. It could have been a hot potato thing, like you take them or give them to another team. But they gave us the ball, even if just for a short time, and I think we ran with it. I think we proved to Tidal and everyone else around us, like, okay, we can give Reece and Rogan an opportunity and they'll make the most of it.
That's really cool. And obviously to win it twice shows that you've got a great long standing with Tidal. What is it about that company that you enjoy working with so much?
So over the last few years, it's gone through a few different management changes, but the atmosphere has stayed the same, and it's always had a really good roster. B.A. Rose, Jack Turner, guys who we could wrestle every single day. Synergy, we could wrestle every single day. It's just, at the moment, it's a good place for young and up-and-comers and veterans to come together and put on a show with an atmosphere, a rowdy atmosphere. But, yeah.
Yeah, like say, we've had really good opportunities at Tidal. We've got to wrestle Mike Baird and Kane Lane. Like, wrestling Mike Baird was insane. Like, just stepping in the ring with him, you learn so much. Like, yeah, Like they give us so many good opportunities. It's plus we get to be babyface there as well, which is cool. Like we don't get to do that very often.
So yeah, Reece loves Reece is the babyface of the two. It comes natural to Reece. Reece loves feeding off a crowd, where I'm just miserable. So yeah.
That's brilliant. And in terms of when people obviously we spoke about earlier that there's a lot of great companies, London or South based, for example, but there are so many great companies in the Midlands and the North and then the Northeast, etc. What is it about this area that you think really helps create those atmospheres and gives talent a great platform?
I think for me, it's probably because it's a limited market. It is the fan base maybe isn't as big, but the talent are hungry, and it is hard to break out of Yorkshire. And when people do, they appreciate it more, because it's not cheap, is it, to drive a car from Hull all the way up to say Morecambe? Mm-hmm. It's not. So when you get the opportunity to go to a place like Morecambe for Odyssey Pro Wrestling, you appreciate it more because someone has taken a gamble on you. Someone has said, okay, they are worth driving all them miles. So we're going to bring our A game. We're not going to let an opportunity slip. We don't sit there backstage like, oh, I don't want to be here. When we get in that car, even if we've been sat there for like 4 hours and we get out there and our legs are dead, our knees are hurting, our lower back's gone, we've had all the services, food you can imagine, we're still going to bring our A game and we're going to prove like, okay, we want this. But yeah, to answer your question without going on a tangent again, it's just a limited market, man. There's not as many talents, and I think it's hungry talent that is here, and the fans can feel it. The fans know when there's a show in the Yorkshire scene, okay, these guys are hungry to break out and get more opportunities. So every single match is a main event.
Obviously, in the Wrestling with John's podcast, you were asked about your sort of early memories and what got you into wrestling. You mentioned Kane. I was just curious because we've now got Blue Kane, who is, I believe, coming over to TNT at some point this year. Do you know much about Blue Kane, and is that someone you would love to maybe one day get in the ring with?
It's a mystery, isn't it? It's Brit Wrestling's biggest mystery, Blue Kane. I honestly don't know much about Blue Kane. I imagine he's again riding a momentum wave right now. I imagine he's going to be very busy.
I don't believe many people know a lot about Blue Kane, to be fair.
Blue Kane probably doesn't even know about Blue
Kane.
It could be an AI. Who knows? It might not even be.
Yeah, it could be
real. But
I don't believe you can call them Blue Kane though, can you? At the moment, want it like a trademark thing?
Yeah,
it got brought off Twitter and things when there's.
Yeah, that's the. But I was just curious.
I imagine there's a market for it, and I hope he's happy, and I hope his fan base are happy, because he needs to release a T-shirt or something, because he could make a lot of money there. He could make a lot of money.
Rogan and buy them all.
Yeah. Let's get you a Blue Kane action figure, then you'll be fine. You can be that. I was just curious after you said that he was one of your influences. In terms of the some of the matches you've had throughout your career so far, you've developed more and more sort of tag moves, and obviously you've got a finisher that pays homage to the Dudleys. Where do you sort of come up with the plans to like work on new ideas, and when you train together? Is it just because you watch matches and you think, oh, we could utilize that and build it in our own way, or just something just come to mind and think, oh, I've seen that, so I wouldn't mind trying it out?
It's a bit of both, really. Like for me, I kind of look at what isn't being shown at the moment.
Okay.
Like what was good in the past, or there's this single spot here. How can I turn this into a tag team spot? How can I use this spot and bring Rogan into it at the same time? Like, yeah, it's just getting a spot and working it as a unit, as two.
So Reece is the power of the team. Reece is the powerhouse, and I'm the brawler. So a lot of the times you'll see Reece doing like moves. You'll see me doing a lot of strikes, and how you can combine that. Like you'll see Reece doing the lift on the 3D, or you'll see Reece is throwing people about like rag dolls. Now it's be punching you in the mouth. But yeah, our ideas come. How can we make it like you've probably seen our Yorkshire Reckoning, our double spine buster.
Yeah.
So we were both very, very similar heights, and we're both dressed the same. And it's like two bookends. There's two on each end, and it looks like a perfect image. Like, you've probably seen it. Like, oh, you can't tell at that point when he's in the air, our opponent, and you see the opponent in the air. You can't tell who's on each side. It just looks like a great image of two people coming together to make one move. But to answer your question, again, going off, it's just how can we make ourselves different? How can we make everything impactful? Like that double spine buster. It is so devastating as a visual that it's perfect for tag team wrestling.
That'll be another one of your t-shirts then, because I have to comment about the fact that people can go. You've got some great designs. Obviously, you've got a website. You've made a real effort to build a sort of brand. Yeah, there you go. What was the mindset behind that? Behind building your merchandise and putting your brand together?
That goes back to the word branding. It literally was just a branding idea. And we don't bring t-shirts to shows because we are villains. We didn't know we was going to sell anything. We didn't know, is it worth printing off shirts? Does anyone even know who we are? And just over time, building our brand and building our name. And the t-shirt website idea was just, hey, let's put it out there. Let's see if anything comes of it. And now there's a place for people to buy it. And we don't lose money out of pocket by printing off hundreds of shirts and taking the gamble. Because like you say, we are old school. We do get a lot of heat. And we're not cool villains. We're not.
Exactly what I was going to say.
We make kids cry. We make adults want to stand up and throw stuff at us. We've had people swing for us. We've had people throw drinks at us. And that's who we are.
That to me is a lot more rewarding than selling a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Well, it means we're doing our job well at the end of the day.
There is some cool shirts on reeceandrogan.co.uk if you're interested. And if not, that's perfectly fine.
That's cool, yeah.
If you and your old man want to square up to us at a show, feel free. You're probably going to get sat back down there.
Yeah, I was going to say I wouldn't necessarily recommend that to anyone who's watching because you're probably not going to end up remembering the rest of the night. But I'll put the links obviously underneath the interview for the website and also your social media, etc. I was quite curious in terms of I don't know how many sort of tag teams in the UK you've sort of been eyeing up and thinking, oh, I want to work with them, etc. Are there anyone in sort of America or Japan that you would love to have a match with that would be your team that you really want to step in the ring with at the moment?
Oh, we're big fans of the New Japan at the moment, watching the G1, watching Gabe Kidd and Alex Coughlin, watching them two, the War Dogs. I mean, that would be a dream match. That's
top of the list at the minute, I think.
Seeing the chaos that they create on their entrance it's something that's obviously rubbed off on us and something we want to not replicate but add our own spin on it. I would love to see Ethan Allen of the Young Guns get healthy again.
Yeah.
Would love to work the Young Guns.
You've got Boisterous Behaviour.
Yep.
Leon and Reece who are killing it at the minute. Yeah. I think we work really well together.
And Synergy. I think I could wrestle Synergy every single weekend. To be fair. And if your boys Dalton and JSC, if they want to try stepping up again, like tell Becca to book the match. We'll
go there for it.
We'll slap them again.
I was going to ask what you thought on that because obviously they're a pair of very good friends that have started obviously working together, like you mentioned earlier. That they're quite a new team. Do you feel like because they've got that entrance and all that fun and everything about them, do you think they've got potential of a team? Do you think that's something that they can really, if they put their minds to it, could they really develop?
For me, yeah, I think they can. Even though they are, like I said, the new team, they have got plenty of potential. Like they brought so many ideas to the table with us. Like we can't knock them for anything. Like they were really easy to work. Like I said, just brought a lot of ideas to the table, and we seem to gel really well. But like Rogan said, if they want to step up again, they're more than welcome to.
Yeah, they're both hungry, and JOC really wants to learn, and I applaud it. I think it's great, and there is room for more tag teams. But when it comes to the top team in Yorkshire, if they want to take a swing, lads, take a swing. But these Fight Factory tag belts aren't going anywhere. And again, that's not me cutting a promo or trying to be in gimmick. We're the Fight Factory tag team champions twice, and it's going to stay that way.
Yeah.
I just want to see you do a promo where you call them the Fad Boys rather than the Bad Boys, and like really wind it up. So that'd be great. But you know,
calling people fat. Jesus.
No, fad, as in the fad, not fat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of what you've got coming up, obviously you're holding on to your titles. You're not going to let them go. Where can people see you live in the next over the summer or into the autumn?
So we're returning to New Generation Wrestling, NGW, our home promotion.
Yeah.
We've just done a massive show against our trainers, Nathan Cruz and Matt Myers, at City Hall, which was a huge opportunity. That was where we watched wrestling as kids.
Yeah.
The biggest venue here in Hull, and it's got years, decades of wrestling history. So that was amazing. We'll be returning to get revenge. We're not going to tell you against who. We're not going to tell you our plans, but we'll be returning to NGW, and believe me, we want gold. So
yeah,
just leave it there. We'll be returning to Tidal. Can't reveal the date at the moment, but again, we would want to prove a point. We want to prove a point. We want to become 3-time tag team champions. I wouldn't say it's impossible.
Definitely not.
And we will be returning to Fight Factory. We can't say when, because we have a lot of dates clashing at the moment. We have a lot of promotions we're bouncing around. We have a tables, ladders and chairs match in Morecambe.
Yeah.
For Odyssey.
Really looking forward to that one.
Which is
with tables, ladders and chairs 2.
Yeah.
I was going to say
second time.
Yeah.
Ooh. This one's for the tag team champions, and our Dudley Boys influence will come in handy, I think.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, that'd be exciting. That's something different for people to look forward to as well. It's worth traveling to see that kind of match. It's quite a brutal one, the one before, where you obviously through a table, which is great. But
it's still real in Morecambe. That's all I'm going to say. It's still real in Morecambe.
I can imagine.
That's an experience.
Before you go, obviously, it was remiss of me to ask you about that tag match that you had with Nathan Cruz recently. What was it like working with your trainer in a match in such a, as I say, historic venue?
It's hard to put into words. It's just that's what we've worked towards, isn't it? He's been our trainer. We just wanted to get in there and prove to him that he taught us well, that we can hang with him. Matt Myers had a lot of influence in our career as well. He was our trainer at one point. But yeah, it was just good sitting there with our trainers, go you've taught us this, and that, and we can do it.
It goes.
We ain't gonna let you down.
Yeah, it goes back to that. Lads, here's the ball. Can you run with it? And I like to think we did. I like to think we made people proud, especially ourselves. And it's a night we'll never forget.
Yeah, very much so. Well, genuine pleasure chatting to you both tonight. I appreciate your time, and very excited to see what you end up doing in the next few months, as and when events get announced. Yeah, as I say, the two of the most dominating and creative individuals that work as a fantastic team in the UK at the moment. Make sure you go and see them live, because you're not going to regret it. Reece and Rogan, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
I think we should do this again in a few months. We'll do the exact same podcast, and we'll be holding the Fight Factory tag belts still.
Yes,
we'll still be holding the tag belts.
We'll do it next year. We'll still have them. It's fun.
Yeah, I like it. You should lay them over you and just sit there and go, what's my goal? Thank you. Yeah, I love it. I look forward to that.
Thank you for watching. We're Reece and Rogan,
and you're watching Wrestling Wednesdays.